Greetings, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Tease the Nation. Today, we have the honor of interviewing Electra and Robbie Styles of the Peppermint Creeps, nearly 18 years since they originally traveled back in time from the year 3000 to infiltrate the music industry. We get to sit down and pick their brains about their reunion and all things Peppermint Creeps. How are you two doing today?
Rockin'.
I'm doing swell. Thank you for asking.
We are beyond excited to have you on. I know it came as a shock for a lot of people to see you guys are getting back together. Can you talk about a little bit of what sparked your reunion?
You want to start, Robbie, or want me?
Well, Eddie and I, we never really stopped talking. When Tracy passed, he was one of the first people I called, despite him not being in the band anymore, and despite us not talking for a bit. But he was always a friend, and I always liked him. And some years passed since we last spoke, up until two or 3 years ago. But we were never really not speaking, if that answers the question.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I want to touch on that too. In fact, when I left the Peppermint Creeps, Robbie actually ended up rejoining right after, briefly. And unfortunately, part of the reason he left in the first place was me.
Ooh.
I wasn't always the best person to get along with, and especially when I had Tracy breathing down my neck, telling me, "Hey, we got to do this, we got to do that. Get on this guy, tell him blah 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 blah." And unfortunately, me and Tracy pulled some crap with Robbie to try to give him insecurity at one point, which was really unfair and really lame. And I've regretted that all my life, seriously. And that's part of the reason why Robbie left in the first place. But when Tracy died, I was originally invited to his funeral, and then last minute I was disinvited. And I was so upset. I was just devastated. And I was home all alone. And guess who comes knocking on my door? Robbie Styles. He showed up to my house to comfort me with a bunch of people. And I couldn't believe it. And from that day on, I just knew that me and Robbie were somehow, hook or crook, always going to have something to do with each other. And we've gone in and out all these years, and it's amazing that we're talking together right now, and I love it. I'm very happy.
Right there, that's a testament of a true friendship. If you guys can go with that 2 years talking to each other and then right back to the same old, same old.
Yes.
Now, I'm sure with your reunion, there has been a lot of reminiscing. What could you say are some of your favorite memories from being in the Peppermint Creeps?
I think Eddie's got to go first.
Robbie.
Okay. Favorite memories. When we shot Stupid, Pop Culture, and Life, I swear that was back to back to back. I think we did all three of them in 1 or 2 weeks.
Wow.
And I know that when we shot Life, Eddie had some fishnets, not too unlike these. And we were out in the sun like this all day. And I don't think any of us were smart enough to put on sunscreen. So I remember for weeks, Eddie having this burnt into his skin like a lizard skin.
Oh,
That's one of my favorite memories.
that's gotta hurt.
I'm going to say my favorite memory really was when Robbie joined the band. At that point, we were at a new low. People had been leaving, and we were down to a 3-piece, right, at that point. And then Robbie joined the band, and all of a sudden, boom, we just exploded. It was a whole new thing, a whole new younger crowd, too, because he brought that in, And I'm going to say that's my best memory of it. The very first show that we did with him, which was Electric, it was just amazing. It was so great. Amazing.
It was a great show.
It really
all
was.
the shows, every time we headlined the Key Club was always one of our best performances, one of our best shows, one of the most attended. all of those are good memories.
Mm-hmm. I've seen some of those videos you guys live at the Key Club, and the energy is just insane. Someone described you as like Neon Kiss once, and I think that's like the best description. Just 10
Yeah.
times better. Now, speaking of Robbie joining the band, I know you were in Black beforehand. Can you talk a little bit about Black and how that led you into the Peppermint Creeps?
Yeah, for sure. I went to a sleepy middle school in Southern California, and I walked down the halls wearing a Kiss t-shirt, and a guy saw me wear that shirt and said, "Whoa, is that Kiss?" And well, I said, "Yeah, dude." And he said, "We're best friends now," and we were for a long time. And he introduced me to Peppermint Creeps. Gosh, it must have been 2003.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first time I heard the Peppermint Creeps, and I heard snippets of Animatron X. They used to have samples of it on their website where it was just 10 to 20 seconds of like all of the songs on the album. And me and my friend Javier were in our sleepy LA suburb, and we were the only two guys wearing makeup and teasing our hair and wearing cowboy boots and doing all kinds of nonsense that no one else was doing in that school at that time. Again, 2003, 2004. It was before Glam made a noticeable step back into the light here. So when we started Black, I met a guy named Sebastian. He brought in all these punk kids. We were all trying to push for this new Glam, like heavily inspired visually by Glam and sonically by Glam, but making it a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a good amount of success. We opened for Peppermint Creeps and Pretty Boy Floyd, and that was like a real quick turnaround of like me being 14, 15 and seeing these bands just as in the audience to knowing them and to opening for them, and eventually with the Peppermint Creeps joining them. And I'll never forget, Tracy gave me a call. He might have messaged me on MySpace, but he wasn't super tech savvy, I remember. So I'm guessing that message on MySpace was just like, "Hey, what's your number, dude?" And got each other's numbers. He said, "Hey, you want to join the band, man?" He had like a deeper voice, so I always hear his voice when I think about him. And I said, "Of course, yeah." It's like, "All right, we'll just learn Animatron X and show up in Hollywood, and we'll all practice it. We'll all play through the album."
Mm-hmm.
So I got my guitar. I listened to it obsessively, more than I already was at the time, and I learned all of the songs. I learned it in the wrong tuning. I thought they were in drop D for some reason. I don't know why. They were in D standard, but that's okay. We figured that out. The first show I played, I actually played it in drop D because that's how I learned all the songs. But tried out. Eddie was there. It was the first time I seen any of them without makeup. And it was in a rehearsal studio in Hollywood. And he said, "You step out for a minute. We got to talk about this." And then 2 minutes later, he said, "All right, you're in." So it was quite the whirlwind. And I had so much love and respect for these guys beforehand and years of being a fan.
I definitely want to say something about this too. When we first heard about Black, I remember seeing the pictures and thinking, "Wow, these guys look fucking amazing." And I can't believe how vintage they look. They looked like straight up out of 1989, right? And they were like 15, 16, 17 years old or whatever, right? And then I heard them, and I didn't think they were very good. But there was two standout members in the band. There was two standout members of the band. One of them, definitely this guy, Robbie Styles. And the other one, I'm not going to mention.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that had to be like a pretty amazing feeling to join the band, because you were, what, 17 at the time when you joined the Peppermint Creeps?
I was 17 when I joined Peppermint Creeps.
Right.
I was 15 playing shows in Black, and probably 16 by the time I opened for Peppermint Creeps.
Right. Which is absolutely insane, because when I look back at me being 15, 16, I could never, ever imagine, like playing at the Key Club or the Whiskey a Go-Go.
A wise man once said, "Keep it fake."
Yeah,
So
exactly.
just fake it till you make it. Just go out there, have all the confidence in the world, just act like you're somebody, and you'll never know what happens.
My day to day.
So, what was
Truth
it
be
like
told,
being
truth
so
be
young
told,
to
I
join?
mean, truth be told, Robbie was probably too young to be playing with us for real. I mean, he was like, 16, 17 years old, but he was a lot more mature than
Hmm.
you would think. And a lot of people didn't even realize he was as young as he was. And in fact, until we made it public. But in fact, the first tour that we did, his parents actually had to sign like temporary guardianship or something over to our manager at the time
Oh
so
my
that he
God.
could do the tour just in case like if anything happened or he needed medical care or whatever. It was insane, a very very crazy situation.
You got to get adopted to go on tour. That's a story.
Yep. Eddie
Rox,
and Tracy, those are temporary dads.
yep. Oh, that's gonna be a hell of a story. Roxy,
Kept
you
it.
were saying something.
Well, actually, he kind of did answer that for me whenever I was asking what it was like being the youngest member of the Creeps, and he kind of did answer that for me, where
Hmm.
that they were kind of like paternal figures in a way, and I think that's
Sure.
kind of cool.
They kind of were and they kind of weren't. I mean, they all felt like adults when I kind of was trying
Hmm.
to act like one. And or sorry, Tracy was the most like me mentally. And I mean that in the best way. He was like the biggest kid of the bunch.
Hmm.
And yeah, I just had a ton of respect for them. And I was fans of them. And they all wrote songs I loved that I had so much respect for. And it was kind of incredible to be a part of it for as long as I was.
Not a lot of us know about the climate of the glam scene during the 90s and 2000s unless you were a part of the scene. How would you explain it to someone like me and Roxy who are like 18, 20 years detached from the scene?
Oh, yeah, you want me to explain it
Got
or
to be
Both of
you.
you.
Can't be me.
okay? All right, give me a second because my phone is falling off again.
I could tell you what it was like to listen to Corn and Limp Bizkit for a bit.
Oh, that's a terrible thing.
Yeah, Corn's not the worst thing.
Korn's got
No,
got a couple of good songs, but I
Karma's
wouldn't.
all right, actually. I can, in fact, the only the only bands that like really gave me any kind of hope in the '90s probably was like Korn to a degree, but really Marilyn Manson and the band Orgy. I was really into them big time. The band Orgy, I
Yes.
loved Orgy. And then there was another band called the Janitorturers, and we actually played shows with them too. I
Hmm.
love them too, but there wasn't a whole lot going on in the '90s that I was really into. But there was this underground glam scene that came out of the whole '80s,
Hmm.
and a lot of people refer to it as candy glam or bubblegum glam. I don't know. There's different names for it, but it was bands like Us and Foxy Rocks
Hmm.
and Revlon Red, like all these like Hollywood Rock City News type bands, right?
Right,
And
right.
I was in a band at the time, Psycho Gypsy,
Hmm.
and our band was very much like trying to be the whole vintage '80s feel. And I don't know, I had a good time during the '90s. Like, even though grunge and everything was going on, I still had my whole glam rock world going on at the time, and my glam rock world friends. I was
Hmm.
bringing these bands out from Hollywood to come play shows with us in Phoenix. I lived in Phoenix, and I had a great time. I mean, I actually love that era. I think almost more than the '80s. Especially bands like Heartthrob Mob
Hmm.
who came out during that time. I thought that was great. They were glam rock, but they brought a '50s greaser like Happy Days element to it somehow.
Hmm.
And I thought that was amazing. I thought that was the next thing. But unfortunately, it kind of just ended there.
Yeah. Now
Art
I
Rob
have
Mob
to.
deserves so much more and so much better. They're such an amazing band. I'm such a huge fan of them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would have to agree with you wholeheartedly. I think the stuff that came out after the 90s, sorry, after the 80s was significantly better. And I think it's two things. It's the experimentation where they brought in other genres like 50s pop, like punk, and you got the glam punk, but also you didn't have the radio waves and record companies like breathing down your neck trying to censor you and making sure that it's like radio friendly at all times.
Right. I thought the Heartthrob Mob thing where they brought in it was definitely if you listen to the songs,
Mhm.
you will hear like a lot of songs are I don't want to say ripped, but definitely influenced from like the Grease soundtrack. If you
Mhm.
listen to like, a lot of those songs, you'll hear the Grease soundtrack in there, and I thought that was great. I thought that was amazing. And
Mhm.
I really thought that was the next wave. And fortunately it wasn't.
I mean, hey, you got the Peppermint Creeps out of it. One door closes, another door opens.
Right,
Exactly.
exactly.
Right.
I feel like it was such a sad thing what happened to most 90s glam bands
It
and early 2000s
was.
was. They just never
Yes.
really got the fame and recognition they deserved. It was
Yeah.
upsetting, because all of them were most of them were really great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very sad.
Yeah.
I'll agree.
Yeah. I mean, granted, I feel like some of the 2000 bands have a little bit more of ground because there's more like video coverage. There's things like oh God, what was that thing that they did in Hollywood? Was it shop Live Flash or something? It was like a video YouTube thing that they did and they got like Dirty Penny on it. But
What
that
was it
that, that
called?
was um Flash Rock. Flash Rock. It was this like a TV studio thing that they
I
did
don't
where
even
they
know about that. Oh my god, that's crazy.
I will have to send it to you, but they had bands like Dirty Penny who, were around
I
in like
remember
the
Dirty Penny.
yeah, yeah, absolutely great band.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But it was
Oh
stuff
yeah.
like that, like I feel like really helped infiltrate the genre and like push it to like me and Roxy, who, we weren't around during that time, but now we get something to watch. Which you can't say about like the most underground 80s rock bands.
Yeah, and 2000s on, you have the benefit of the internet, and
Hmm.
listening to music and trying it out used to be such an investment. I can remember saving up money. It's like, oh, these New York dolls sound like something I would like.
Hmm.
I can't wait for another 2 weeks before me to have enough money to buy a CD and listen to them. And luckily, I bought the CD and I loved it, and my life was changed. But um, music's just so accessible now, and
Right.
you can
Which is
find all kinds of interesting stuff immediately. You
mhm.
know, and maybe those bands would have fared differently if they had that same kind of just access and ease of accessibility.
Oh, they definitely would
Exactly.
have been. If they could have gone on like Instagram and just like recorded their performance or whatever, they would have probably a million followers or something. It's just
Yeah. Like Heartthrob Mob and Psycho Gypsy on Instagram. Like,
mhm.
look at this crazy shit, and just imagine like this guy singing doo wop in a glam song. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
No,
again, it is. Sorry, you go ahead, Roxy.
no, you go ahead. I didn't realize. I
I was
thought you
going to
were
say,
done.
but it is a double-edged sword because, yeah, you have a lot more easier access to learning about all these great bands. I'm really lucky to every day I find a new glam band. But
I hear
Yeah,
that.
the double-edged sword is you better be good.
right, right, you better be good
Yeah,
and you have to please the algorithm gods if you want, your stuff to be pushed.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you also got to make sure you can handle the Instagram comment sections. Those are
Uh,
rough,
oh
man.
yeah. Yeah, you got to handle those comment sections.
That's rough. That's so rough. I remember I got an Instagram comment like a few days ago where someone was trying to accuse me of being trans. And I was like, I mean, I've got no problem with that. But it's like, at least do research on my account before you
Mhm.
try and tell me that,
Mhm.
Because I tried to tell them, I was like, I'm not. And they were like, no, you definitely are. I'm like, I would know.
I think of all people that would know, it's me. But
Me.
oh, and also
Exactly.
this is AI comment went on something that's very obviously not AI. I'm like, okay,
Exactly.
yeah, it's whatever. Keyboard warriors, I guess.
I know you were involved in a band called Psycho Gypsy. where you guys hosted a monthly glam night called Glam Slam. Did this directly affect the creation of Glamageddon in LA? And is there a chance that either two of those events will possibly be revived in the future?
Actually, yeah, it did. That's exactly where it came from. Tracy was impressed with what I did with that, and he was like, "Hey, let's do that in LA. Or we'll call it something else." Because everybody by that point, everybody was using Glam. Even Poison had a tour called Glam Slam or something like that. So, so we dropped that, and then we came up with Glamageddon. As far as it ever happening again, I mean, I guess if there was a reason to, it would. At this point, there's not really a reason to, but doesn't mean there won't be at some point. I think like everything's up in the air, everything's up for grabs at this point. Who knows? I stick around. Let's see.
Fair enough. I will
Prepare
say,
for every situation.
yeah, I will say if you did Glamageddon again or Glam Slam, you would have so many people me and Roxy's age because we all want to go to these kind of shows.
It would be harder now, though, because for a few reasons. It would be harder because the bands to pull from just doesn't exist anymore. I mean, at the time, I had like Gutter Sluts, I had Foxy Rocks, I had Peppermint Creeps, I had Revlon Red. All these bands that were out that just aren't around anymore. I mean, I guess there's newer bands, but I'm really not familiar with a lot of the newer bands that are around that are still trying to do that sort of thing.
Fair enough.
We could send you some. We could send you some.
Oh, we will send you a
There are some that
playlist
are really great.
if you're okay with
Dude,
that.
send me some stuff. Here's the thing, though. I'm really picky about that kind of stuff, like what I like.
Understand.
There's been so many people that send me, "Oh, you're gonna love such and such a band or whatever." They send me, and I'm just like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Is that me just like bitter or like jaded or something? I don't know. But
I feel like it's both a little bit. It's like, yeah, maybe they weren't great that you're showing, but also it's like, what
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah,
There's some bitterness there. There's some jadedness there.
right.
For me, my time doing that stuff, and then also some of it's just mid.
Which I understand. Having me and Roxy, we do the journalism thing. We on top of Tease the Nation. We do the Glamatarium with the pages with everything glam metal and Big Talk Nation. I don't know if you've seen those, but it's basically like a Headbangers Ball style TV show, but we bring in modern day glam metal bands.
Wait, what do you call it? Glamatarium?
Glamatarium.
Yeah, the
yes.
Glamatarium, like sanitarium.
I love that.
Glamatarium. We didn't come up with the name of it. You gotta give EGM the complete credit for it. But
yeah, and most of the videos are hosted inside of a mental asylum.
Exactly. Yeah, it's set in a mental asylum.
Oh my God, I love it.
So we'll send you that. But the point is, it's two things. It shows that people want things like MTV again, and people want to watch music videos. But also, we wouldn't be able to do this if there wasn't somewhat of good glam bands around nowadays.
Right. Yeah. There's got to be, right? I mean,
there is.
I'm not aware of them. Bring them to me. Tell me who they are.
I mean, there's a festival in New York happening this summer with 12 modern glam bands and 3 80s glam bands, roughly.
Yeah, they've got like the headliners are Ted Poley, Heaven's Edge, and Rough House, aka Tease. Yes. And then you've got like 10 other bands that are all modern glam bands, like Ready to Strike and
Tykin,
Snow White, Wicked, Midnight Devils. It's great. It's going to be so awesome.
The only one I've ever heard about that you just mentioned right now was Midnight Devils. But that's because of the Pretty Boy Floyd Association. So
right.
That's why I don't know those other bands though. I mean, I'm open. Yeah, send them my way.
Absolutely. As soon as this is over, I'm sending you everything. So be prepared.
Yes. I can't wait.
It's gonna be like 12 pages.
New glam bands tend to be a caricature or parody of the genre itself or other things from the 80s. And there's only so many songs you can write about how badly you want to rock.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Right.
Our
I feel like
friends,
Vane Wild does good of not being a
they
caricature.
do. Especially I'm
I'm
gonna
not a
say
fan too. I'm not a fan of the bands that like make fun of it either. Like Steel
yeah.
Panther. I'm not really a fan of that kind of stuff. I mean it is what it is, but I
Mhm,
mean that's not my thing. But I do like bands who would really mean what they're singing about and doing.
mhm.
But if it's good,
Yeah.
it's got to be good.
No, I completely understand, But yeah, Vane Wild, our friends in Vane Wild, their one song, No Sanity, it does not sound like a glam metal song. I swear it could have been like a new metal song. Like, these guys are great.
Wait, which band
They're
is that?
so
They're
great.
called Vane Wild.
Vane
They're
Wild.
based out in England.
What now? I couldn't hear you.
Vane Wild?
Fame Wild.
Yes, Vane Wild.
Fame Wild. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to check that
Yeah.
out.
Don't worry. We're gonna set you up. We're gonna send you everything.
We're gonna make sure to send you ones that aren't caricatures. There are
Yeah.
a lot of really good modern bands out here right now that actually, love what they do. And
Hmm.
it's really hard to find musicians who love the music they're doing and don't just do it because they think it's gonna make them successful, because glam
Hmm.
isn't successful, which
Right.
is just, you know, the
Right.
truth. So a lot of the people doing this nowadays, they're doing it because they want to and they
Right.
find it fun.
Hmm.
And I think
Right.
that that's what the genre's all about.
It is. Yeah.
I agree.
Are you guys shocked on how much of an influence and impact that you guys still have, like in the Peppermint Creeps, and how many people are still listening to you guys? Especially new fans?
Me, I
Both.
I kind of am. Yeah, actually, like it's really weird. Like all these years have gone by, and there's all these new people that just keep coming up. Um, I was inactive on social media for years. After I left the Creeps, I was pretty much heartbroken by everything that went down, and I didn't want anything to do with anything anymore.
Hmm.
And I disappeared. And then I decided, I don't know why, I decided for some reason to come back like around I think 2019 or so. And
Hmm.
I created a TikTok account. I didn't want to do any other social media just because I feel like I can control the situation better on TikTok. And I didn't want all the drama that's like on Facebook and all that, right? I did have an X though, Twitter X. But then once Elon Musk and all that happened, I nixed that. I was like, yeah, no, bye bye. But
Me too.
yeah, I was like, bye bye. Um, but yeah, it's really weird. Like all these people that keep coming up, and like people that weren't even alive. They weren't even alive during the time when we were doing this.
Hmm.
It's really bizarre, and I think it's great. I think it speaks for itself. And I mean, people can criticize us and make fun of us all they want, but the fact of the matter is, I mean, something about us has resonated.
Hmm.
Something, and I'm grateful for that. I think that's amazing, and I'm grateful that Tracy's legacy is able to
Hmm.
continue on with that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. It is an absolute great thing that the thing that he poured his heart and soul into is still relevant today and people still enjoy his creation. I don't think there
Yes, the
could have
thing
been.
the thing about Tracy is he wanted the Peppermint Creeps to get huge, right? But not necessarily without him. That's the
Right.
difference. That
Right.
is that is the difference. He
Hmm.
wanted the band to get huge if he was in
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
but
He's like, y'all ain't doing this without me.
No, no.
right, but it's impossible now. So I don't think that applies anymore. In fact, I would say no, it doesn't. And I think most people would agree.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair enough. Sometimes I hate bands that try to move on without when a band member dies, I was so prominent in the band and they just move on. I'm like,
Right.
how can you do that? You know? Like I
Right.
get
Some people
maybe.
are just irreplaceable,
Mhm.
completely irreplaceable. People point to the fact, well, look at ACDC. They replaced their singer and they had great success. Well, yeah, that's ACDC. That's not Peppermint Graves. That's
Mhm.
not, anybody else. That's not Molly Crew. Like if Vince Neil went, I don't think they're going to have the same success with some other dude. We know they wouldn't. You know they would. We saw that.
We saw it with John Robbie in the 90s.
Right. And that wasn't a bad thing. I actually loved that stuff. I thought that album was great.
Yeah.
Great album.
I thought it's a great album. But people like what they like, and they zone in on something, and that's it. They don't want to deviate from that. They want it to be that.
Right.
They don't want rap coming out sounding like Linkin Park. They don't want Pretty Boy Floyd coming out sounding like, Korn or whoever. They want those bands to sound how they love those bands. And I think the same applies to somebody like us.
Right.
I feel like the biggest band I think emulates that, you can't replace it, you won't have the same sex, is Skid Row. Once they got rid of Sebastian Bach, I feel like they have not had the same success they've had. I haven't heard any Skid Row albums past the Sebastian Bach era because they're just they're not anything special. I feel like Sebastian's voice is what made him special, and they can't emulate that anymore.
Yeah, I fully agree.
I'll agree, but even more so for me is the band Warrant.
Yes.
I just can't. I can't do Warrant without Janie. I can't. Nothing against those other guys. It's just no.
I mean, Janie Lane was an amazing singer. Like, he made Warrant.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel the same way about Firehouse.
And that was the same for me before he even died. When they had other people in there and stuff, they had Jamie St. James from Black and Blue, who I thought was great. We played shows with them. I thought he was great, but it's not what we know. It's
not the magic.
Yeah.
Right. It's just not.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how good of a musician you are if you don't fit that band and that aesthetic. It's just not going to work, and the fans aren't going to be okay with it.
I agree. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, every now and then I feel like you get that rare situation where you can switch out band members and it's fine. My favorite example is Crash Diet. They have one, I say original band member left, but he wasn't even an original band member. But still, people listen to them and they still make great music. But that's like a 1 in 5 billion chance that's ever going to happen again.
That's actually one of the newer-ish bands that came out and well, I can't say recent years now, but that have came out since us. I think it's great. I love Crash Diet. I think they're amazing.
Yeah. And they're a true statement of resilience and how your passion for the music can carry you through tough times.
What do you think, Robbie? Well, what's your opinion on how the new generation has, with the Creeps, how they feel about the Creeps?
I think you guys have touched on a lot of it. And I think that if you look at the legacy there and you look at the work and you look at the videos, and it's so clear that, despite this being a band that wanted success and that deserved it, this is someone's full-blown art project that he fucking lived for, that it was a perfect representation of who he was as a person. And anytime you do that with art, you have the potential to connect with people on a deep level like that. And that's why 20 years later, people still come across this on YouTube or wherever and say, what is this? Where was I? This is insane. And I hate it or I love it.
Honestly, in a way, you guys remind me of Hanoi Rocks. You created some great music, and unfortunately, you never got to that level that you absolutely deserve to. But that's okay because you influenced a whole generation of glam rock.
Well, I do love you deeply, and that's a great thing.
There's some bands that came out after us in the Hollywood scene that started to make waves. One of them, I'm not mentioning names, but one of them did get a lot bigger than us. And if you watch their videos and stuff, you're going to see a lot of influence. I mean, especially their earlier videos, almost every single one is almost a carbon copy of ours. It's crazy. It's wow. But I think that's cool. I think that's amazing. But it is kind of irritating though at the same time, because it's
right.
we did that first. Like that was our thing, and it's I don't know, it's a bitter pill to swallow at times. I'm gonna admit it is.
For
But
me, I would rather be attached to the thing that is like clearly such a work of like just someone's full heart and soul in it and not a commercialized product. And if I know which I absolutely know what you're talking about, I would way rather be attached to this weird, crazy thing than I'm proud of being attached to it.
Honestly,
And
it's like
for young people discovering it, like I believed it when I was 15, 16, hearing it for the first time. So they must be hearing what I heard.
So I actually do have a question strictly for Eddie, and I wanted to ask this since I found your TikTok because I feel like it's a question that we don't get to ask a lot of people that we interview, and it's just about a question about you being, LGBTQ, and I wanted to ask how did this affect your identity as a musician? How did it affect how you were treated within the scene? Because I feel like sometimes whenever we learn artists are, gay or bisexual, that we learn later on they were treated like shit. I hope it
well,
wasn't the same for you.
to quote Tommy Lee on the video that I had just posted on my page about straight rockers who have gone gay, here we go. Okay. For me, in the beginning, I didn't really have any problem with it. I mean, everybody accepted me, everybody loved me, nobody treated me any differently. I was very lucky. And some of it, I think people just wrote off, how I looked and stuff as, oh, he's just a crazy rocker, like that's why he looks like that, whatever. Even though they knew whatever about me, they made excuses for it. And for some reason, it was okay. But what I did notice is the moment I wasn't friends with somebody or I left a band or whatever, that was the first thing that was brought up. And all of a sudden, I'm a fucking faggot. Okay. All of a sudden, this and that, derogative terms about me when that wasn't the case before. And it's funny because it's like, well, you didn't have a problem with that before, but now that we're not friends anymore, that's the first thing you bring up. And I find that very interesting. I find that very interesting because, like I said, I didn't have an issue before, like with people growing up and stuff. I feel like I've been very lucky. People have accepted that, and I've accepted myself since I was like a teen. I think the very first relationship I ever had, like that. We were friends, and that person was very, very closeted and very not okay with people knowing about us. And it was torture for me as the relationship went on because I was proud of us and I wanted people to know about us and I wanted to be able to share my life with people. And he was absolutely devastated and freaked out and did not want me to tell anybody. And eventually it ended horribly. And ever since then, I made sure that, you know what? Whoever I'm involved with next, it's going to be somebody who can be proud of us and who we can share our lives and don't have to live our lives in secret. And I'm very blessed to have that person. I've been with the same person now since 1994, believe it or not. His name's Rob. His name's Rob. I call him Robbie. And we actually finally got married in 2020, and we did it for legal reasons because you never know what's going to happen later on in life. Somebody tries to take your property, after somebody dies or something, and then the other person's left behind fucked. So that's why we did it. We didn't do it for like, oh, look at us, we're getting married. We didn't do it like for show or whatever. We did it for serious legal reasons. But I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed to have found somebody after extreme heartbreak and be able to live my life openly and proudly. And yeah, I'll never go back.
Mhm. That's absolutely amazing.
Congratulations on your
Yeah,
marriage, by the way. That is
Thank
amazing.
you.
yeah. It's awesome that you guys have been together for that long. You know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, even straight relationships don't last that long sometimes. So,
We've outlasted every single couple we know, including like all the my best. One of my I'm not going to mention his name. One of my best friends I've known for years.
mhm,
I've seen him gone in and out of relationships, in and out of marriages. We've outlasted everybody,
mhm.
everybody. You know, so I mean, there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And while the stigma is definitely going down in the music world and just the world in general, it is still an unfortunate thing that I feel like we have to fight with for absolutely no reason. I don't know why, but whatever.
I don't know why so many people are so concerned about what other people decide to do with their own private
Yeah.
parts. And I don't know why that's the first thing they even jump to as well, because there's so much more to like a relationship than just that, whether
Mhm.
you're straight, gay, whatever. I mean, I if your relationship is just about sex, there's a problem. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Now that you guys have reunited and you're talking again, what does the future hold for you guys as musicians? Are you planning music together, or is this just kind of a reminiscing, kind of filling in some holes in the story?
Let me answer first and then Robbie can join in. For me, I think it's a little bit of both. I think that it is basically setting the story straight,
Hmm.
what we wanted to do, and it's been a long time coming. You know, I mean, we've remained silent for many years when we could have been blabbing our mouth about a lot of things, and we remained silent. You know, and we got back together as friends, talking, and there has been discussions about possibly new music projects, whatever. So I think it's wide open. What do you think, Robbie?
He and I have led this like the scene of the crime that was the wreckage of that band for a bit. I think, we have some shared trauma over it that we were both hesitant to get back into pretty much. But um it is both. It's, Eddie's a guy who understands deeply what I've lived through and I understand what he's lived through, and we share something that, is really special and unique. So it's natural that we be in contact and talk to each other. And then musically, my wife and I are working on music. I have some stuff that's getting close for prime time. I'll go ahead and say that one of them is a cover of a beloved 90s glam band called Heartthrob Mob,
Ooh.
and another is a cover of a beloved song that is unfortunately very hard to hear and listen to these days.
Ooh.
So stay tuned.
Exciting.
Wonder what song that is.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is exciting.
Curious.
Yeah, I mean, to jump back on that again, like I said, we have talked about doing some music and stuff. Um, I think everything's open. I mean, as long as people can keep an open door and keep the conversation open, I think the sky's the limit, you know? I
Hmm.
mean, why not? You're around, people that you like, and why not do something, you know?
Hmm.
I think the door's open, the sky's wide open.
I am super stoked. I'm super stoked about the Heartthrob Mob cover as well. There's been a couple of really good ones out, especially by a band called the Trash Stars. They did a really good cover of
Ooh, they're
Psycho.
good.
Yeah. Which again, I can send you if you want to hear it. But I'm excited. I'm beyond excited.
This is so, so amazing.
It is. It
Uh,
is.
Oh, I haven't mentioned original music too. I led with the covers, but also original music.
Ooh.
yeah. Covers are great and all, but
Yeah, yeah. But the
it's much more
originals,
fun when you get to write something that's your own. I mean, I've wrote like 3 songs myself. They're not great, but it's always fun to
yeah,
write your own music. You
yeah.
know?
I'm always jealous of people that can like write songs. I'm like, how do you do that? My brain doesn't work like that. Like, hmm.
I don't know.
It's the voices.
Robbie Styles to me has always had this like Johnny Thunders vibe to him, with his not only his guitar playing but the way he looks and everything.
Mhm.
I, I think he has so much to offer, and I'm so excited to hear what he's gonna put out, dude. Because I know, like in the Creeps, as with me, we were limited, you know, as far as what we could say, do, whatever. So I'm excited. I think you guys have a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm excited. I don't know what to expect, and I'm already excited. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So we have two unserious questions for you guys because we have joked around a lot this interview anyway. But the two unserious questions we have are we have correlated these with how we feel you guys would like them based on your personality.
Yeah.
So Eddie, I have to ask, because of the content you post, who is your biggest celebrity crush from the 80s glam scene?
From the 80s glam scene. Nikki Sixx, for sure. That's my biggest one. Nikki Sixx.
Yeah.
Nikki
Look.
Sixx, hands down.
Yeah.
Was my biggest crush. He looks, even outside of makeup back in the day, he looked with his hair back and everything. He looked like Tom Cruise. Like he was like just model. Like Nikki Sixx was amazing. Like Nikki's a hands down. Yeah, for sure.
I would have to agree on that one.
I always feel bad talking about my celebrity crushes because no one agrees with me. It's like, how dare you? How dare you not agree? Like Emelia. Amelia doesn't agree with me on some of them. How dare you? How dare you not agree with me on
some of them are just so out of pocket. I'm like, okay.
What?
Yeah,
it's not my fault I have a crush on CeCe DeVille. He's hot, okay? Sue me.
The last question we have is, what is the craziest interaction you guys had in full Peppermint Creeps getup, either good or bad?
I'll go first. We, as a band, went to see Motley Crue, and they had gotten back together, and Vince Neil was back with them, and Tommy Lee was painting himself like a Peppermint Creep, dare I say. And we were there, and some woman, I don't even know, you must have known her, but some woman approached Eddie from behind, got right about here, the back of his arm, and bit the shit out of him. Really hard. Like what happened was Eddie didn't turn around or look. He just swiped. He just slapped whatever hurt him. And the lady says, "Oh my God, why'd you hit me?" And Eddie said, "You bit me. That really fucking hurt." That's one of my favorites. She seemed actually upset and hurt that she was slapped as a result of her biting, but it's pretty understandable. Don't bite your friends.
Yeah.
Robbie
don't bite your friends.
Robbie told me this story like not too long ago. I swear to God, I don't remember it at all. But I wish I did, because that's amazing. That's just great. I love it.
One more. As a band, well, the three of us, Eddie, Tracy, and I, and my wife, and I forget who else was there, but I don't think Macy was there. And we were attending the VH1 Rock Honors. They were honoring Genesis, they were honoring Heart, ZZ Top, and Ozzy Osbourne. And one of the presenters they had that night was Robin Williams. And Robin Williams on stage is doing like a whole preacher routine pretty much. And he's saying, "Brothers, sisters, sinners, saints, and assorted creatures of Cirque du Soleil." And when he says that, the camera pans perfectly right on Tracy's face. That's another one of my favorite ones.
I remember seeing that on Eddie's TikTok. You made a little video about that.
Assorted creatures of the Cirque du Soleil. Yeah, I agree with that.
I wasn't there for that. I had quit the band by that point, and the reason they were there is because they copycatted me and getting them because I had gotten us into the Rock Honors in the first place with Kiss, Queen, and all that, and they saw we got so much recognition from that, so much. We were like on VH1 like intros, like before commercials and stuff. They were using us for all kinds of stuff, and it lasted a long time. So there was so much shit from that. After I left, they went ahead and copycatted me and went and did that show. But I'm glad they did, because that's a great outtake to have.
It is.
As far as me, I think one of the greatest or most unexpected things that ever happened was me and Tracy went to go to Kelly Osbourne's record release party, and this was at Tower Records on Sunset Strip when it still existed, and we showed up there, and we're there like, yeah, Kelly Osbourne, right? But instead, we get mobbed. Like, for some reason, this whole crowd of people that were there to see her knew who we were. And I remember just being so shocked by that. Like, oh my God, like, how do these people even know about us, But at the time, MySpace was so crazy. Like, and we were big on MySpace at that time that, all these people just knew about us, and I thought that was the most wild and amazing thing. I was like, wow, this chick is on like the Osbournes and whatever, but they're freaking out about us. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's gotta like put you right on cloud nine.
Yeah.
Freaking out a bunch of guys in makeup.
Totally.
I do have to say, I think it was genius marketing that you and the rest of the Peppermint Creeps would show up at these random events and get yourself on TV. Because it's like someone's gonna recognize you at some point. Someone's gonna be like, who are these people? And
why do they keep showing up?
Yeah.
To toot my own horn, that was all me. I orchestrated all of that. I orchestrated the VH1 Vixen. I orchestrated the Rock Honors. We were on the CNN resurrection of Motley Crue, VH1 as well for that. I orchestrated all that. Like, I had connections with people who did like reality castings and stuff, and they would tell me about these things that were going on. I was like, perfect, we need to get on that. And so, I tried to get the whole band there, but unfortunately, most of the time, it was just me and Tracy showing up. And to be fair, a lot of this was before Robbie was even in the band, so it's not like it's his fault or whatever. But but yeah, I mean, I tried to do that and get everybody involved, but like I said, y'all see who was there showing up for these things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He was always
I feel like
great.
anytime I watch a video from the year 2000s, I feel like I'm just going to see in the background one of the Peppermint Creeps pop up.
Right. Or
It's
just
gonna be
like
funny.
the neon pink hair, that's all you see, and it's like, oh, there they are.
Eddie and Tracy were
I know who
titans in
that
Hollywood.
is.
I know who that is.
Yeah, you could see him from a mile away, you could hear him from a mile away, and Eddie always did a great job of keeping the band alive on the internet before a lot of other bands did, and certainly no one else in this band was as motivated as Eddie was to getting press and word out there and promotion. And yeah,
Thank you, Robbie. I appreciate that. Another thing I'm going to touch base on. You guys might have seen the term the MySpace famous version of Peppermint Creeps, and that really pisses off some of the former members. But there's a reason for that. The MySpace famous version consisted of me, Robbie, Tracy, and Macy. And that is, in fact, the lineup of the band that just resonated with many people and actually hit and became popular on MySpace. There is no other lineup that did that. Mm-hmm. And so, hence, the MySpace famous version of Peppermint Creeps. So we proudly use that term, and I think it fits.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
I do too. Yeah. And I would have to fully agree. I mean, like, no shade to any past members of the Peppermint Creeps, but that era was like, you guys were on absolute fire. Again, I'm talking about this like I was there, but
there were definitely members before us, and there was definitely members after us. But the lineup that resonated was, in fact, the MySpace famous lineup of Peppermint Creeps. And I will preach that all day long.
Yeah, I full-heartedly agree.
Yes.
All right. Well, I believe that is the last of our questions. So, Roxy, you want to wrap
It
this up?
is. It is. So if you two have anything to plug, which plug means, like talking about your social media accounts or any new music or projects you're coming up,
Wild and Storms on TikTok. Check us out. We post about our makeup. We post about our music. We post about our history together as a couple. I know Eddie was just talking about his relationship being well over the 20-year mark. Ours is over the 20-year mark as well. Been very fortunate to have her and to still be able to do this and do this crazy shit and keep making music and keep telling stories. And I'm happy to have company and happy to have my friend Eddie here with me. And just check out our TikTok, Styles and Storms.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'll just say, just keep an eye on my TikTok. It's the only social media I have at this point. It's the only one I really want to have at this point. As I mentioned, I'm able to have better control as far as people trying to be nefarious on the account or whatever. Yeah, check out my TikTok. I have some new song stuff that may be coming out too in a couple of months. But other than that, yeah, just my TikTok. There you go. Maybe YouTube in the
Hell yeah.
future at some point.
So now I
Appreciate
do
it.
believe you two have completed your mission of infiltrating the music industry and destroying pop culture. And we really do appreciate you two coming here to take the time to talk with us, because we know you had a lot of offers from other people, and we feel very lucky that you chose us to do your first interview in a long time with. It makes my heart full. I feel like the Grinch. My heart has grown 4 times past its original size. I'm gonna have a heart attack. We do really appreciate you to do this and answer our very slightly invasive question.
Right on.
You have
And
for
to our
having us.
listeners, thank you guys, and spreading love to Eddie and Robbie here. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.